Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is pick number 15, preliminary round number 1. Great to have you here. Alex.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the 15th pick. These are our 3-cubed preliminary rounds. We'll have another round tomorrow. Today's round features 8 innovators. We did have one cancellation and one person that had to move. So there'll be 8 innovators pitching today, and we'll have 10 in tomorrow's round on Friday. Thanks to everyone for being here. I wanted to mention right away that the recording of this round will be posted to the LocWorld YouTube channel, probably within the hour or so after we finish here today. We want the chance for you to feel free to share this with your colleagues and friends, but also gives our dragons a chance to go back this weekend when they're making the hard decisions on who will be invited to the final round to go back and watch those pitches. So both recordings will be posted within an hour after they're finished. Dave, back to you.
This time around, you know, we had over 22 submissions. We'll have 18 innovators in these preliminary rounds over the 2 days, as Alex said. This is day 1. What are the rules? Very Dublin phrase, that one. Well, it's 3-cubed, right? So if you've been here before, you know this. 3 minutes to pitch for each dragon. Sorry, for each innovator. 3 dragons, right? And 3 slides. That's it. It's that simple. And we have, Alex, really great bunch of dragons this time.
We sure do. I'd like to welcome Ben Cornelius. Ben, how are you today? Thanks for being here. I think you're muted right now. Yeah, great to see you. Next up, we have Eric Vogt. Eric, how are you?
I'm really good today, and I want to welcome all the contestants today. I just want to say thank you for participating. It's really, really exciting seeing all these presentations, and I can't wait to see what you all have. So good luck, everyone.
Thanks, Eric. And last but not least, our pick veteran, Alessandra Benazia. Alessandra, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you, Alex and Dave, and really looking forward to the presentations or the pitches today. So good luck to everybody.
Thanks a lot. Well, on behalf of LocWorld, the founders Ulrich Hennis and Donna Parrish, I'd like to welcome you again to the pick round. Just a real quick thing on voting for these preliminary rounds. The voting is up to just the 3 dragons here. They will deliberate after the 2 rounds are over to help select and invite the 6 innovators who will be invited to join us on stage at the final round of LocWorld50. That's going to be on Wednesday, October 11th at 1:30 in the afternoon on the main stage at LocWorld50. And I will say that last LocWorld in Sweden, we had over 360 people attend the final round. So the lights are bright and the stage is set. So let's get to it.
And the jokes are bad.
The jokes are very bad.
Yeah, definitely. So look, as Alex just said, we have a great group today. Good luck to you all. Thanks, Eric, for that. Good to see some new names. A few folks familiar to the pick as well. Welcome and good luck. Also, right, you're seeing what I'm seeing. Adaptive generative, mentioned a few times. Crazy, right? Well, first up on stage is, before we go there, right? Tomorrow we've round 2. So 10 more innovators. GPT, what's that? AI, what's that? All right, you've seen some trends. Interesting. Let's get back to today. So small talk done, down to business. Let the pick prelims begin. Try saying that in a hurry. First up is Alesya. You're very welcome. Can you hear us? And please join us on stage.
Yeah, I'm here. So
over to you.
Okay. I would like to introduce an innovative system called resource management automation, created in our company Janus worldwide. And would you please switch to the next slide? First of all, I would like to cover a brief and key advantages of the system as such. I've decided that there should be kind of 3 points here. And first would be that the system we've created is fast and transparent, which means that we as a resource management are able to provide our production with any kind of information and needs they might have just within a couple of clicks. And also transparency here means that all the actions we do from our side are visible both for us as a resource management and for the production as the requesters. So the next advantage here would be the interconnection, so-called thing that means that the tools that actually build our automation system are interconnected between each other, meaning that, for example, you can open one tool by clicking a certain button in another tool. So you can just smoothly switch between processes, and it's also reducing time and make your workflow really smooth. And the third one here would be the trackable data and risk management. That means that almost each of the tools that are in frames of our automation system, they have a kind of a storage with already completed tasks and already gathered information that could be reused once we have pretty much the same request or task to do. And what about risk management here? Actually, by getting the quite full and well gathered by the system information, we can have a time to sit up and analyze all the information we have and predict what could be the risk in frames of this or that request. For example, if we have a request for really rare language pair, so we can see how many resources we have, and we can predict that, for example, we need the recruitment for this task, or the project is as such is quite risky. So please to the next slide. Yeah, and here that should be an animation here. Yeah, one more time, please. Yep. So key tools that are building up our automation system, and the first one here would be the resource request tool. This is the way how resource management interact with production when it comes to actual project allocation. You can see some tools advantages listed here, but I would like to say that this is the way we actually allocate real projects to our vendors. And could you please move to the next very last slide? The next one, I would say I would like to cover, next. I would like to cover the most important part here, that the interconnection example, this one, yeah, thank you. This is how the tools work, and the picture on the right side, this is our unique part, the most unique part of our automation system, because this is the way how resource management actually works with production for non-regular and non-standard requests like blind CVs, availability requests, because usually in other ALSPs, those requests are managed by Outlook system or other mailing systems, and we do this in ERP. So yeah, I'm done.
Alesya, thank you very much. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? 3 minutes. Who invented this?
Yeah, actually, it's my first time doing this kind of stuff, and for this short time. Thank you. I've tried my best.
No problem. We gave you a little extra time because of the technical issue there.
Thank
Great.
you.
Well, let's see if there's questions for you. I bet there are, right? So, Dragons, questions?
Oh,
Eric?
Hello.
go ahead, Ben. You go first.
Hey, Alesya. I was just wondering, how does this actually interoperate with the other tools that we tend to live in the localization industry? There's content in different systems, there's transformations and translations going on in other systems. How does your system understand what's going on in these other places?
What do you mean other places? It's like our system is the entire how remote working space, where all the actions are after any actions we do from our side or production side, there is a notification system. So each side can understand what's going on. And for example, there are some updates and both sides get the notification. And yeah, it's the system talks to us, actually. We considered that part as well, so everybody knows what's going on. And this is kind of, again, a part of transparency. So it's trackable, it's visible, it's understandable for each side, and it's really reduce time, exchanging dozens of emails, for example, because the RFI part, which was on the last slide, the most unique one, it has inbuilt chat inside. So, and each time anybody production side or our side types anything there, both sides got the notification. So yeah, we all know what's going on.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alesya. If there's a real short question, we'll take it, Eric. Otherwise, we'll move on. Good. Alesya, thank you very much. Well
Thanks,
done.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Great stuff. Next up is Tom, and we're from CaptionHub. So Tom, I'll ask you to join the stage.
Hi, everyone.
Tom, over to you.
Tom.
Fantastic. Great. I'd like to present our innovation, which is a live subtitling solution. And we can create synchronized, automatic, multilingual subtitles for live video streaming. Next slide, please. So why are we doing this? We identified a number of issues with live captioning. Click, please. So the first one, we're all aware of, seeing subtitles in public or seeing video in public that's been subtitled, dentist waiting room, for instance. There will often be a large amount of latency on these and sometimes some very questionable, accuracy. And this is because it's being driven, in large by sort of old technology. There's often sort of a hardware box involved in this. There are subtitle formats from the 70s, and it is often or can be a single point of failure. If your caption provider goes down, then your subtitles, then your video stream will go down. And that is obviously catastrophic in a live event situation. Because of the old technology, translations can be very difficult too. With some of those subtitle formats from the 70s, it's only technically possible to support a couple of subtitle tracks, for instance. And as a result, these older ways of producing live subtitling are very labor intensive. So you're looking at someone doing some re-speaking, or you've got a stenographer typing away really quickly, or in the instance of translation, you'll have a live interpreter. And so this tends to be very expensive and can be quite fragile in terms of what you're actually seeing on screen. Next slide, please. So we identified these issues and we thought, look, there's got to be a better way of doing this. So our mission at CaptionHub is to allow people to communicate, and whether that's with the deaf or hard of hearing or with people who speak a foreign language, it's very important that for communication, it shouldn't just be for special occasions. And so our system is AI based, so that, and the idea is that our customers can turn it on by default. But we're doing it in such a way where we can optimize the AI. So we've got automatic transcription, but with custom dictionaries to improve the quality of the transcription. Similarly with translation, we've got automatic translation with AI, but we've got term bases to optimize those. The really key thing about our solution is that we're delivering truly synchronized subtitles and via a plugin in the player. And so this goes directly into the browser. This technology is patent pending, and we're taking advantage of the delays inherent in some of the web formats. We support 48 languages for real-time transcription. We support 91 different languages for real-time translation. Next slide, please. So let's take a look at some of the advantages of our approach. So going from high latency, poor accuracy, we've now got fully synchronized subtitling with optimized AI. We're helping AI to do the best job it can, using term bases and custom dictionaries defined in advance. From old technology, we're now using cutting edge technology, which is fully future-proof. We can translate tens of languages at once, as opposed to just two. We're not a single point of failure at all. In the very unlikely instance that CaptionHub goes down, the video stream is entirely unaffected. Translations become very easy, as I've just said. And what was labor intensive now can be implemented with the click of a button.
Okay.
Let's play a video quickly. This is a sped up version of what our productionized solution looks like. We can add languages on the fly. We're defining them in advance here. I've cut a chunk out of the video here, about 30, 45 seconds worth, which shows you, you get an idea of how fast it is. And we're not allowed to show audio, but these subtitles are, again, they're fully synchronous, and we can translate on the fly as well. This technology
okay. I'm sorry, Tom. We gotta cut you off there. That's
sorry. Yep.
Overtime. But thank you.
It's not long, is it? 3 minutes.
It flies. Yeah, I mean, we've often wondered, what is the right time? We've found 3 was a good space to be. So thanks, Tom. Really good job. Hopefully everyone got a good flavor for that. Nice video as well. Dragons, questions?
Tom, I'll start. Thanks for the presentation. I'm familiar with CaptionHub. I'm curious, what is the single most important takeaway from your presentation? What's the single most important innovation that you're offering now as distinct from the core value proposition of your product itself?
The most innovative bit of technology that we've developed is the ability to leverage that delay inherent in web broadcasting to provide synchronized subtitles. And that's really the focus of our patent application. But at a broader sense, it's more that democratization of just being able to offer this by default that we're sort of trying to give to our customers.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question, or if we're out of time? Okay. Just wondering, Tom, how self-service is this? I mean, it does look easy, but for a big event, would you want to have like either a CaptionHub or a vendor kind of support with administering this, or is it really a click of a button easy?
The idea is that it's completely self-service. We've obviously got, and for key events, we will and do have people on standby, but it's our expectation that this will be self-managed by our customers. And that's something that isn't, widely available in the marketplace. Usually, it's a huge effort to book in the resources required.
Great. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Good questions. Well presented. Iddy, we'll ask you to join the stage. Just a reminder to innovators, 3 minutes, please stick to it as best you can, so as we don't interrupt you. Iddy, ready
Hello.
to go?
Yep.
Excellent. Over to you.
All right. So who hasn't heard to the left, everything you own in a box to the left? Well, little did I know that Beyonce would be the source of inspiration to my process innovation this year. Hey, everyone, my name is Sahai, and I'm an international product leader presenting to you my global linguistic immersion process innovation. Next slide, please. Localization, mostly whether for software products or any other content type, involves collaboration between 3 key groups, LocOps and LSP being the drivers. Some evolved programs include content and UX design. However, once this closed group determines the translations to be perfect, it is then released to the users. So this process tends to be very siloed, where the Loc team, the vendor partners are stuck in this vicious cycle of feedback and implementing the feedback, costing a lot of time and effort. Next, please. So the process of global linguistic immersion brings along customers in the localization journey. So the analogy of to the left signifies inclusion and user voice closer to the start of the localization process. This facilitates user engagement, aids identifying internationalization gaps, and addresses any lingering linguistic concerns. This innovative process places the end users at the core of the quality assurance process. And through a limited release immersion program, users become active participants, transcending the traditional testing. And this approach involves individuals who represent the core linguistic and cultural background the product is being localized for, therefore ensuring a thorough examination of the functionality, IATN, and of the product before the wider release. So thereby allowing for the product team to adopt localization nuances to user preference and mitigating risks downstream that can be costly. So the outcome is more refined, culturally sensitive localization experience, and that can be implemented for high investment regions just as easily for the low investment ones as well. So as localizers, we've also recently started debating and identifying opportunities of productizing the localization workflow. And this global linguistic immersion program offers an opportunity to put the user at the center of the work that we do, which is very much in alignment with the product values. So who knows that, this is the first step in productizing the localization workflow. So this process is agnostic of the content type and can be implemented for 3 to 6 months to allow for feedback gathering and implementation when it comes to an effective international product launch. Well, wiser words haven't been spoken. So I thank Beyonce, and I'm glad that she thought of it first and created this song that could truly be an anthem for product and content localization leaders dealing with diverse user bases across industries by including the international user early on in the localization journey and testing, allowing them to provide feedback that is valuable towards building a successful localized offering. So if there's one key takeaway that you have from my pitch today, remember, move the user to the left, as left as you can in the process and as early on in the development journey. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to present.
Thank you very much, Edie. Great to see a process innovation come in here and move to the left. Well, on my left are the dragons. So dragons, any questions?
I have a quick question, Edie, and I don't know if I missed it in your speedy pitch. It was very good. How does this add time to the product release, and how much time does it add?
So in fact, the process is designed so that it does not add the time to go to market. So as soon as you are almost 50, 60, 70% ready with internationalized product or any of the content that you're looking to localize, you place machine translated content and allow for a limited availability release. So while you are identifying and triaging the IITN bugs, engaging with reviewers and building out, the business is really building out the infrastructure and the framework for the go-to-market and an active presence in the market. That's when you start immersing the users. And that's very similar to if you were to develop a product or adapt a product, it's before the launch. So it's sort of identifying the GA readiness, like when the product needs to be available, and then working backwards.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great question. Great. Edie, thank you very much. Really interesting. And we'll move on. Thank you. So next up is Ágnes. We'll ask you to join the stage, please. And you're going to talk to us about something adaptive, right?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Over to you.
Okay, good. So hello, my name is Ágnes from memoQ, and I've come with a method we call adaptive generative translation, which is a new way of translating with large language models. Can we go to the next slide, please? So translation is work, so we want to get it done quickly and still in good quality, but we all know this, otherwise we would not be here, obviously. So in order to achieve speed and leverage, a long time ago, we started to accumulate knowledge in translation memories. And with this, we could keep the quality, but after a while, it seemed we can get better leverage and speed with machine translation, especially with NMT. But then quality became a question, and we also lost the reliability and predictability that came with the TMs. And then large language models burst into this picture, and they know everything, so leverage is great, but translation quality doesn't seem to be any better than NMT. So, and this is where adaptive generative translation comes into play. Its aim is to keep the speed and leverage, but also improve translation quality. Can we go to the next slide, please? And this AGT is a new approach to using LLMs for translation. And its greatness lies in combining our good quality domain-specific human knowledge with the general and lower quality machine-generated knowledge. So basically, we teach the LLM to give better quality translations by feeding it with resources from the TMS. And this is what you can see in this figure. And what we use is the LLM's capability of in-context learning, which means we add TM hits and other resources to the prompt. And we also take advantage of the fact that the LLM can improve significantly by using only a few examples, and this is called few-shot learning. Can we go to the next slide, please? And now about the benefits of this method. It gives better quality MT by immediate domain adaptation, but without this tedious training. And this also means that it relies on a general model, but the results are still specialized for our needs. And another huge benefit is that the data remains ours and can be cleaned and maintained and controlled all the time. And this data is reliable and predictable. And plus, this method doesn't require any special effort or disruption, but it fits into the existing workflows. And can we go to the last slide, please? And we believe in this method so strongly and this innovation that memoQ has its first patent pending for it. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Ágnes. Very interesting stuff. Dragons, questions?
I'm delighted to see the tackling of LLMs in this context. It's a really exciting strategy. What would you say is the core of the idea here? Is it the sequence of how you're training the model for a particular application? You're doing it all kind of in-house, or is there something else is it about the interactivity between, say, a translation process and the model itself?
We don't use our own model yet. I mean that at the moment we want to use a general existing model, and we want to use Azure OpenAI API for this, and then we connect only to this LLM, and then we use all the resources, the translation memories, term bases, corpora, etc., whatever we have in memoQ already and what the user has already, to make all the hits better, so to make the LLM's translation better.
Okay, and do you have
what it is currently?
And yeah, that's great. Thank you for clarifying. And then do you have results yet in terms of how better that approach can perform against traditional models?
We have done tests, and it's very surprising how much better the translation can become. So how well it substitutes terminology and how well it really adapts from only a few examples. But the whole feature is under implementation, and we are planning to release it in October. So we are doing tests and implementing, and we are very, very excited about this now.
Fantastic.
All right. Thanks, Eric. No more time for questions. Ágnes, well done. And we'll need to move on. It's all about moving this forward, right? 3 minutes, questions. For anyone who's late in joining, you're welcome. We're about halfway through this first session of the preliminary rounds of Pick 15. And I'd ask Emily Hoyland, would you join us on stage and we'll get you going?
Oh, yes.
Over to you, Emily.
Fab. Okay. So multilingual sensitive content identification to improve global communication. So I'm going to start with the problem. So next slide. We present content to the world directly and through our customers who license the data. This content then undergoes processes which you might call the danger zone of language understanding, which I've highlighted in red on the slide. So the first, our content is now more accessible than ever before and reaches a global audience with differing sensitivities. And second, the content is decontextualized even more than ever before, from search engines to generative AI. These applications all present answers to a user without the context of the original content. So an example, abortionist is a word which describes someone who performs abortions, but in all uses in English, this is an offensive and derogatory term, but this understanding of the use could very easily be lost without the context. And then the final key danger zone, automatic localization or translation for a new market or audience. So an example of this one is that we've seen issues where the Portuguese professora, meaning a female teacher in most contexts, is also used as slang in the northeast of Brazil, meaning a type of prostitute. So within certain contexts and locales, this could absolutely be taken as an offensive term. So sensitivity issues can arise from the audience for which the content was intended, but also from audiences who organically come across content. So this can cause offense, alienation, miscommunication. So on the next slide, our proposal is to identify potentially sensitive content in multiple languages. And to do this, we'll be using text classification and translation models to leverage human curated sensitivity data in English. So this English data is gold standard, very granular, boasts a high amount of valuable metadata like domain classification, meaning and context examples, but it's taken years, maybe decades of research to curate this really rich source of information about sensitivity of words in their context. So our vision is to utilize this English data and then bidirectional parallel data cross-lingually to allow us to identify potentially sensitive language, particularly in digitally under-resourced languages, to then allow focus review and improvement of that content so that it delivers the true message to the audience for which it was intended. So our goal, next slide, is to shift the sensitivity review process from a traditional full text read through with a highly skilled linguist, which is required per language of the audience that's being reached, and therefore it's very expensive, to a model where potentially sensitive cross-lingual language is flagged and disambiguated to increase the efficacy and efficiency of the human linguist. And the measure of success would be that we would aim to see a dramatic decrease in the time taken to complete a sensitivity review that would then enable provision of the information with this multilingual sensitive identification process compared to the traditional methodology. Thank you very much.
Wow, Emily, really interesting stuff, and you know, so important today, right? Is getting it, you know, one word in one language may mean something very different. I live in Spain, and we've got a couple between different countries in the Spanish-speaking world, so I know firsthand. So Ben, let's go to you first on questions, and then if we've time, Alexandra.
Great. Thanks, Emily. That was really a great presentation. You mentioned that this is a proposal. So is this near productization? Is this useful for other people at this point? Excuse me, at this point?
It's definitely an agile innovation stage. So we're sort of reviewing the models that we might be using at this point. So text classification, looking at fine-tuning BERT models, we're in that kind of process. But the speed at which we're making ground, we're really, really pleased with. And we are, you know, working to improve it for our purposes. But the advancement that we're seeing is something that we would hope to be available to other people who are seeing this exact issue.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Alex, do you have a question?
I think it was partly and already. I was really trying to understand what the technologies are that are being used in this process. And I guess the
we're not hearing you very well.
Is part of.
Alex, we're not hearing you great. I'm getting that what technologies are being used in this process. So I'll just ask that to Emily.
Yes, so it would be fine-tuning of two different types of models. So we're looking at the fine-tuning of a machine translation, and the Google, the T5 is something that we're looking at the moment. And then the BERT model, we've done lots of experimentation with how that deals with disambiguation in different languages, using kind of sentences in context, synonym data, different kinds of parallel data. So that's the kind of models that we're investigating.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Emily. Thanks, Dragons, for the questions, and we'll move on. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is where I get confused, right? We've got another Emily who's going to join us on the stage. So Emily Randall, you're welcome, and over to you.
Thank you so much. There's no such thing as too many Emilys. So my name is Emily Randall, and I'm from Uber. Thank you so much for having me today. Let's get right into that problem slide, shall we? Okay, we in the localization industry know this problem all too well. There's never enough context to ensure good translation quality. Sure, there's a portal over there with a mountain of documents, but vendors don't have time to pick through all that. Translators need the detailed information right at what I'm calling the point of translation, all the relevant context, but nothing more. Meanwhile, the client-side localization PGMs, that's me, are in the middle hunting around for who even owns this copy so that they can try to bridge that vendor knowledge gap on the fly. At Uber, we wanted to address this issue at its core. We found that we didn't have a tool to store or submit product UI for development or localization. The absence of a proper tool led to a confusing manual process. There were so many handoffs, including developers copy pasting each and every string by hand from copy docs into their code base, that nothing was ever traceable. Inadequate string descriptions and a lack of governance led to 90% of bugs and queries getting blocked in triage due to untraceable authors, costing an average of 30 minutes of triage activity per issue. Okay, so let's go to the innovation slide. We built a homegrown content authoring tool where product teams write, approve, and publish the content. The tool, called Quill, is a web-based solution providing content governance and visibility internally and externally to localization vendors. By moving the entire content production process to Quill, we created a single source of truth. All right, so let's get to that final slide. How is Quill unique? In trying to solve this large scope of pain points, we evaluated existing tools on the market, the buy versus build, but they were either content tools that didn't support our localization pipeline or localization tools that fall short of providing a creation space for other functions. Uber's design and localization teams came together and took a product design approach to envisioning Quill. We shadowed developers, we mapped out the jobs to be done with content authors, and Team Quill interviewed legal and product ops to capture everyone's requirements. Now that we're post-launch, Quill is in use with real projects and is open to everyone who engages with product UI at Uber, including our vendors. Every content copy string that is created by a Quill project links back to that Quill project so that anyone with copy strings can find the Quill link and therefore see the entire flow, the history, the discussion, and the owners. So as soon as our first projects reach the published stage, we're looking at that for September, our vendors handling the strings will have visibility from string to flow to feature to author at the point of translation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emily. You can't have too much Emilys, too many Emilys. You can't have too much context, right? Dragons, questions?
Yeah, for sure. Context is king, and that's a theme that we see with a lot of problem solving in this space. So absolutely tackling something very important. I am curious about, have you measured or quantified the business value yet of this? Like how much faster you can deliver value, or how many errors you can reduce through this process, or is there a measurable cost reduction in terms of rework? I'm just curious if you quantified the kind of the total value of this innovation yet.
These are all questions that my leadership has been asking, so I'm glad that you're on it, Eric. Yeah, so one of the first things that we hope to see is a reduction in that 30 minutes of triaging per bug. That was about 400 bugs a year for just me alone. So that's a lot. If you multiply that out by all of our lines of business, then we're saving about 1/5 of our product team by not having to spend that time. Now, that number doesn't actually impress the VPs at Uber as much as the amount of engineering time copying and pasting keys, but on top, so that's thousands of hours. But on top of that, because we've removed development from being part of the flow from content designer to translation process, we will be able to cut a month out of our translation start time. So can you imagine a world where the translations are back, real professional translations, not pseudo translations, are back before development of the keys has even begun? That's what we hope to solve, to gain from this.
Yeah, thanks for articulating that, Emily.
Sure.
Great, thank you. We'll take one more question. Alessandro, Ben.
How does everybody else get this?
You know,
I mean, it's obviously proprietary. It sounds so good, though. It's a shame not to share.
Right. I mean, right now it is all built on Uber's proprietary tech stack, but in my dreams, we bottle it up and we sell it. So I'll let you know if that happens.
Nice, please do.
You'll be the first to know, and you heard it here first, folks, right, Emily? You might have to follow through on that. You know, one of the things of the pick is we found, I've asked people in the audience sometimes to say, what did you get out of those innovations? And a lot of the time they say, out of the 6 innovations that I've seen in the final round, I really liked 3 of them. I think I can apply direct 3 potentially either now or in the future. But I also get comments saying, I love the concept. That concept, I can adapt that, and I'm going to have a look at the recording later because I know I can apply that to a problem I have. So, innovations recycled for other problems is one of the things we love seeing. So thank you very much. Sometimes applicability is just that. Thanks, Emily.
Thanks, everybody.
Right, great. And well, final 2 for today. Just for anyone who joined us late, you're at PIC 15, session number 1, session 2 tomorrow. Adam, we'll ask you to join the stage, and this isn't your first time at the PIC, Adam, right?
That's true.
So over to you.
Great. So thanks, Dave. Before we go to the next slide, so this is about reviewing human translations with quality prediction. And before we go to the next slide, I want to talk about what we mean by review. So here with review, I'm using it very loosely to mean anything like proofreading or in-country review, or anything where basically a human did a translation and now we have to ask another human to review that translation, right? So next slide, please. So review is terribly inefficient. So what do we mean here by inefficient? Can you just click again, next slide, Dave, so the animation goes? Yep. So by inefficient, we mean that 90 to 99% of the segments sent to final human review are not touched. So it's kind of counterintuitive, right? So it means that, if everything has to get edited, then there's a reason you had to have that step. But if like 90 to 99% of the segments that are sent to final human review, if they're not touched during a review, like only like 1 to 10% are getting fixed, then there wasn't actually a lot of impact for most of the segments that the person had to look at, right? So next slide, please. And again. Right, so what is efficient? Completely changing the topic here. So quality prediction is efficient. So next slide, just hit the mouse on it. I won't do animations next time. So there's this new, not that new idea, been around for 5 years, idea of basically applying AI to skip human post editing for machine translated segments that aren't going to be touched anyway. And it's gaining ground. We've been around for 4 years. We're the leading provider of that. And every single time that we're doing a demo, not every single time, but a good fraction of the time, we get asked, okay, but does it work for human translations? Because that's actually the problem that I have. And for years we said no. I once did something actually for Alessandra around this, wrong approach, wrong technology, etc. Didn't work. But eventually we got it to work. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, and so not machine translation quality prediction, but just translation quality prediction actually makes final review 10 times more efficient. And so that's actually a bigger efficiency gain than on the machine translation. Interesting reason why, maybe I'll leave that for the Q&A. So yeah, you can use AI to check human translations. That's it.
Brilliant. Adam, thank you very much. Great contribution at the end. I'm not sure if the Dragons will have a question on that. Adam, I'm not sure if you're able to put on a camera. We're having some difficulty in finding you.
Okay, let me see here. It shows me that my video is on, but to be fair, I'm using a new MacBook with seeing Zoom in the browser.
A dark screen at the moment, so I'm not sure if that's solvable, but we can go to questions anyway.
Yeah, I think it's not solvable without like restarting this browser, installing Zoom. Yeah.
No problem. Dragons, questions for Adam?
Go ahead, Ben, go ahead.
Adam, this is a really great way to do this type of review and to hone in on what's actually important without pushing linguists to look at a bunch of noise, if you will, wasting a lot of time and effort.
Good way to put it. Yeah.
When I look at the way that most of our industry works, they are reticent to adopt this type of process. They're worried, right? They want to make sure that risk is extinguished, that their customers have a great experience. How do you think that we could motivate the industry to look at this as a more viable solution and stop wasting time doing review in the traditional way?
Ooh. This is such an existential question for us, because both on the quality prediction for human translations, but also on quality prediction for machine translations. So with the review specifically, I found that there's basically two cases. So one is like we spend a lot of money on this, and it's just then we can prove, okay, that's just not necessary. So a typical example would be like, I send everything to my vendor, they do everything like MTPE, blah, 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 and I get it back. And then we're sending it to another vendor or to our own linguists for review for all of this content, right? Even though very little of it ends up getting edited. So that's just a financial thing. The other thing is more of the like the other kind of pain point where I don't actually have like a formal review on my end, but I'm sending it to the in-country marketing managers, and they're not really in localization. This isn't their job, right? Like this is just this extreme, it can slow down launches. It's just this like extremely painful process. So I would say the pain tends to be those two issues.
Great answer. Good question. Dragons will take another question. Adam, you're way early on time, so you have a bit more space and questions.
Maybe if I can follow up one last thing on that last question, then I guess what I wanted to say there was there's like 80% of the people who aren't fitting into either of those two buckets, and I'm not sure you can actually convince them right now until this becomes more established. And I'm fine with that.
Okay, so I will indulge and I will ask you to explain the 10 times faster, please.
Sure, right. So our way of looking at quality prediction for machine translation is like, hey, what percentage of your machine translations are being left unedited at the post-editing step? And if it's like 10% are being left unedited, then I'd say, we can't help you right now. Go back, fix your machine translation, etc. If it's like 30%, 50%, 90%, that's the highest we've seen, of your machine translations are being left unedited, stop what you're doing right now. You're wasting money, get quality prediction. So the thing with review is that by the time you get to the human review step, God, I hope that 90% of the segments are being left unedited. Now I have seen as low as 70%, so meaning like 30% of the stuff is still getting edited at review. But that's kind of broken in my opinion. So typically you're looking at 90 to 99% as being left unedited, and the quality prediction cannot save you all of that, but can save you most of that.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Dragons. Thanks, Adam and friend.
Thank you.
The background.
Oh yeah, the third one.
Busy man there, on all accounts. Well done on getting your pitch through.
Just to note that the Dragons, you can't use the baby as a sympathy vote. Do not consider the baby noise, but we got to be fair.
We got to be strict as well, right? That's, Adam, really. So cute. Good. Well, we're down to our last preliminary round, session 1 innovator today. So we'll ask Catarina if you'd join us on stage and we'll get you going.
Hi.
Hi. And over to you. Start when you're ready.
Thank you so much. So I'm Catarina, and I'm here representing Unbabel with our content transcreation layer. Next slide, please. An English speaker customer support agent sent the message on the left to a Chinese customer. While the Chinese speaker wouldn't see anything wrong with the translation itself, and Unbabel itself has been doing that for a while, the reply is inappropriate at a cultural level. On this use case, we moved past translation and we went beyond the usual levels of formality. Now we are more worried about the culture of the sender. This is what everyone should be worried about. For example, when replying to a Chinese customer, you should follow a proper greeting structure and shouldn't be too friendly, for example, by using emojis in the message. Our content transcreation layer can rephrase it to any cultural background, reassuring the agent that the message is not only useful and accurate, but also culturally appropriate. On the right, I'm showing you the same message, but now transformed by our layer. Next slide, please. You can see that now this innovation already working in the CRM, sorry. In this case, integrated in the Zendesk integration. Again, we are getting a message from a Chinese customer. We are replying in English, and before sending it back to the translation again, we'll use our transcreation layer. It is as easy as that. To create this layer, we researched cultural dimension, interviewed native speakers, and created guidelines that were then turned into prompts which generated the content. This is extremely important, now even more, since large language models are not bias-free. This is generated content tend to be biased toward Western cultures and language, flattening out cultural differences and perpetuating Western perspectives. Next slide. Although we started by addressing the conversational needs in the customer support scenario as presented in the previous demo, the content construction layer itself has a much bigger potential and can be applied in many other industries, such as marketing, as mentioned in the slide. In a nutshell, we are combining linguistic research and human guidelines with generative AI by incorporating cultural context, such as costumes, beliefs, and values, and individual characteristics, such as age, interests, and customer history, to create personalized, fair, and culturally unbiased content. Our content transcreation layer will allow everyone to feel supported, respected, and understood. Thank you so much.
Wow, great job there, Catarina. That, you know, we're seeing this cultural appropriateness coming in again. Really great job. Dragons, I'm sure you have questions.
Yes, please do.
So this is also super interesting because transcreation is one of the fundamental problem spaces, cultural adaptation, and many of the presentations have also referred to this. When you're doing, it looks like this is built into a live runtime environment. Is this something that is intended for use for that level of interaction? And it sounds like you've got an MT kind of connected to that as well.
Yeah.
And then how do you get feedback with regards to how well you adapted to the target locale?
Yeah, so right now we are in the stage of talking to our customers, and the feature itself is already in production. So we are integrated in Zendesk, and we'll expand to other integrations. Regarding the feedback from the customer, we internally have a team of linguistics that not only build the product, so researched with the interviews and verified that for the 3 languages that we now have, that is Korean, Japanese, and Chinese, this is working pretty robustly. And now we are talking to the customers to check the feedback that they also have from the agents that are using. The whole idea is that this layer is transparent, for example, like Unbabel does. So it's a click, and the agent, even though the agent is impossible in terms of scale and in terms of automatization, that the agent will know the guidelines for every cultural or for every cultural of the customer, this will ensure that he can trust the layer and can trust that the message is well sent to the customer, is culturally appropriate for him.
It's interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Alex or Ben, questions?
I have a question. I think it's similar to Eric's, but I was just wondering, you know, the personalization aspect of it is really interesting, and I wonder, like, who sets this up? You know, who sets up the parameters for the large language model? And I guess, you know, the prompt, is that a one-time exercise that your research team does after all their research and stuff and then deploys and it's done, or is it manipulatable, you know, beyond that?
And I understand. It's a great question. So at Unbabel, we have this notion of a pipeline. So every customer can come to us and say, for example, if they want this specific translation or what is the degree of quality that they want. And we see this as another module there. So it will have, if you want, like this transcreation, so personalization, but then the feature itself, and addressing directly to your question, can be a mixed. So our linguist can come up with the guidelines. Okay, you have this Chinese, you want to have your services of customer support to a Chinese customer. So this is what we reunited and researched. But then obviously we can also adapt to the customer itself. And that is another level of personalization. So this really will fit both the customer and our customer as the one that we are providing customer support.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great. Well, thank you, Catarina. Well done. Well done to everybody today. You just heard 8 innovators, and that's our lot for today. But Alex, we have more tomorrow.
We sure do. We have 10 more innovators going tomorrow, same time, back here in the same Zoom. We invite you to join again. I also just wanted to mention that the recording of this round will be published in the next hour to the LocWorld YouTube channel, so you can go back and we'll rewatch the pitches as you need.
So thank you, innovators. Great job. Well done. Thank you for those who showed up and support the pick over the years. And Dragons, thank you. We will see you all tomorrow. Anyone who wants to join tomorrow's session, that's free to join too. Otherwise, that's it. That's our show. Thanks for showing up. And as Alex says, you can see the recording later on.
Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for your presentations.
Bye-bye.